Welcome back into Pigskin Perspectives. It is time to recap, which was a wild week in football. Bowl games galore. We had some outstanding games. We had some terrible games. We had some terrible weather games. It was just a load, a lot, ton, all those words of football. NFL, we're getting into playoff season. Those weeks are counting down. There's only 3 more weeks left in the season, regular season that is, of course. We still have a lot of playoff action still ahead. But, like I said, it's bowl season. A lot happened there over the weekend. So let's just get into that first. We'll start off with the first bowl game that there was. It was the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Georgia Southern came in as a 3.5-point favorite, but they ended up walking out as 20-point losers as the Ohio Bobcats walk away with a 41-21 victory. I kind of doubted Ohio going into this game, and really looking back on it, I don't know why. Georgia Southern was 6-6. They had the worst year by far. They looked like the worst team by far this year, or in this game, I should say. And even though Ohio had opt-outs and transfer portals, it didn't matter. Ohio walked away with victory in this one. They moved to 10-3 as their final record. Tim Albin gets another 10-win season. Ohio, one of the most consistent teams in the MAC. They just never seem to get over that hump of winning a MAC title. Moving on to the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Jacksonville State coming into their first ever bowl game in their first ever season of the FBS, taking on the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. This game went all the way to overtime. What a back and forth battle we had. But it was a walk-off field goal by Jacksonville State that gave them the victory in this game, gives Rich Rodriguez another bowl win at another school. And Jacksonville State walks away 34-31 winners. Enough can't be said about Jacksonville State this year. Obviously, a lot of the talk was about James Madison not making a bowl game because of the transition and all that. Jacksonville State built a really good team this year. They finished 9-5, I think. Somewhere around there. They built a really good team this year. I don't think anybody expected them to compete in year 1 of the FBS. I remember watching them week 0. I think they were playing UTEP. And I said, this is a good team, not great. They may scratch to 6-6, but it's not going to matter because they won't make a bowl game because of that transfer. But obviously that ended up not mattering. Jacksonville State get the victory. And what a huge win for Jacksonville, Alabama, the whole city, the whole university, all of that. Moving on to just what was an absolute sloppy game of football. It was the Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl. It was Appalachian State walking away with 13-9 victory. I doubted App State going into this game. I said, I don't know why the MAC champions are the underdogs here. Give me Miami all the way. That was before I found out the MAC champions 2-10 in bowl games in the last 12 years. Not great. So, if I would have known that stat, would I have bet against Miami? Maybe, but I still didn't think this App State team was good enough to beat Miami. The weather played a huge factor in this game. By the fourth quarter, that place was a mud pit. They were playing in a monsoon, basically. All 4 quarters, just absolute torrential downpours. Nobody had a clean jersey at the end of the game. Appalachian State celebrated at midfield by doing dives into the mud. That was nice to see. But App State walk away with another bowl victory. Moved up to FBS 10 years ago. I believe this is their 6th or 7th bowl win already. So doing pretty well at the FBS level. each year it always seems like they have the opportunity to be a dark horse for New Year's Six. It just usually never pans out. Moving on to I still don't even know what it is. The Aztela New Mexico Bowl. I said New Mexico State was going to win this game because it's in New Mexico. A lot of people traveling from Las Cruces. A lot of people did travel from Las Cruces, but New Mexico State, they didn't. They end up losing this game to Fresno State 37-10, and Fresno State just outmatched New Mexico State in this one. It really was not a competition. New Mexico State just was outmanned, and it all ends up turning out very well for Fresno State, who played a heck of a game. They played a really good game. You could tell the talent differential there. And Fresno State walks away with another bowl victory. One of the more consistent teams, Jeff Tedford, in his second stint at Fresno State, got the team rolling. Obviously, didn't coach this game because of health issues. Should be back next year. But they get a bowl victory for their coach that couldn't coach in this game. Moving on, the Starco Brands LA Bowl hosted by Gronk. Once again, just kind of like the Appalachian State Miami game, I had no idea why the conference champion was the underdog in this one. I thought UCLA was going to be a big problem. All those transfers. They lost Dante Moore, who transferred to Oregon, which is a very interesting situation there. You usually don't see kids enter the transfer portal to go play back up to somebody to learn and develop for a few years. You don't usually see that happen. So that's interesting. I like the move. But Boise State, I don't know what happened in this game. They kind of just never were really in it. UCLA kind of dominated start to finish. They win 35-22 in a basically home game for them, even though not a huge turnout. Fun fact, SoFi Stadium is closer to the UCLA campus than the Rose Bowl by like 10 miles. So that's something. It doesn't really affect anything, but it's something. Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. I think I picked Cal in this one. This is showing how bad my picks were this weekend. Texas Tech start to finish. Red Raiders, guns up. Or that's what they do, the guns up. The tortilla toss. I mean, all that fun stuff that they do in Lubbock, which I'm pretty sure is just in the middle of nowhere in Texas. They get the 34-14 victory. A good end to a disappointing season from Texas Tech. I picked them to win the Big 12. That did not pan out at all. But for Cal, Justin Wilcox has got something going there. With the move to the ACC, I think it should be able to continue because the bottom of that conference is just bad. And hopefully they can find like a mid-range in that conference. We'll see what can happen. But a good end to a disappointing season for Texas Tech. And moving on to what was the last bowl game that we'll recap here, because the last one that I previewed is happening right now, that the Coffee Fresco Bowl or whatever. This game, what a game this was. In the first and potentially only famous Toastery Bowl from Charlotte, North Carolina. Wow. Western Kentucky walk away with a 38-35 overtime victory. You might be saying, oh, that's cool. You know, overtime victory must mean it was close. This game was 28-0 Old Dominion at one point. It was 35-7 in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Western Kentucky came back in the fourth quarter, 28 down, win this game in overtime. Miscues galore by Old Dominion in the fourth quarter and overtime. I mean, you were at the 1 yard line for first and goal, second and goal, third and goal in overtime, Old Dominion. They don't get a touchdown either time. And then 4th and goal, when you're going for it, you jump and it's a false start, and then you go to kick a field goal and it's blocked for the 2nd time in the game. Old Dominion, wow. Wow. It was one of the better bowl games that has happened the past few years. And, for the crowd that's like, there's too many bowl games, why are all these 6-6, 7-5 teams playing? You don't get games like that if you get your way, because there's less bowl games. Old Dominion and Western Kentucky aren't putting up 38 and 35 points on a Monday afternoon in Charlotte, North Carolina, if you're taking away these bowl games. You don't get moments like this. You don't get moments like the 2014 Popeyes Bahamas Bowl, when this same Western Kentucky team, bar the players, blew like a 42-28 lead in the 4th quarter to Central Michigan on a last-second Hail Mary that may or may not should have counted, and then they went for 2 and won the game. You don't get games like that if you have less bowl games. It's these bowl games that just happen at random moments in the day that pit two teams that you probably have watched very little of this year that usually just sink in your mind. That's all it is. That's what these bowl games are. They're pure entertainment. That's what they are. And the kids that are going out there playing 60 minutes, some of them it might be their last football they're ever playing. It's the truth. These bowl games do matter. So given that, what a bowl game galore that we had. Like I said, Frisco Bowl going on right now. UTSA, Marshall. When I did the preview, UTSA was 12.5, 13.5, somewhere around there favorite. They closed at 7.5. That number dropped a lot. Has a lot to do with 7th-year senior Frank Harris, the quarterback for UTSA, sitting out this game, ending his college career. I still don't think Marshall win this game. I still think UTSA finds a way to cover. That's the best way I'll put it there. So between now and when we record on Thursday, only one bowl game will happen. There's no bowl games tomorrow for some odd reason. I don't know why we wouldn't just throw a bowl game on. But Thursday night, 8 p.m. on ESPN, it is the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl, pitting former Big East opponents, obviously when the Big East had football. USF, the Bulls from Tampa, South Florida, face off against the Syracuse Orange, Otto the Orange. Both teams sit at 6-6. Syracuse is a 3-point favorite. Over-under is 56.5. The firing of Dino Babers with like 2 weeks left in the year, it makes me want to lean Syracuse here because you play for your interim coach. It's probably coaching his last game as a head coach. You kind of want to go out with a bang there. But this USF team, what a resurrection. First-year head coach. Get to a bowl game. Get to 6-6. That's huge at USF for what a rebuild it's been. Alex Golish is the head coach. I like USF in this game. I think Syracuse will end up winning just because that's how things go. But I like USF in this game because I think they have more motivation to win this game. Given how good of a season they've had compared to Syracuse, who have kind of had a bad season. But they do get help for next year. Kyle McCord, former Ohio State quarterback, commits to them from the transfer portal. We'll see how that all plays out. So moving on, we'll move on to the NFL. We had a packed slate this weekend. No more buys for anybody, so we are full action the rest of the way. We had football all over the place. Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. All over the place. We'll start on Thursday. The game that was happening while recording, I said the Raiders were up 28-0 at some point. The Raiders win this game 63-21. which caused big changes in LA. Brandon Staley, head coach, Tom Telesco, general manager, both fired on Friday morning in LA. It happened in the afternoon here in the Eastern time zone. But it was a change that needed to happen. This team needs a change, and they needed it bad. They finally get it. I think the opening of GM and head coach kind of leads me to believe there's only two coaches that could possibly take this job right now, because I don't know if they're going to hire a GM and just hand it all over to the head coach. There's one coach in the NFL that does it right now who might be out of a job in a few weeks, or traded away, because I don't know if they'll truly part ways with him. There's one other coach currently in college football said that he hasn't been offered NFL jobs because rumored to be that he wants total control. Obviously, those two coaches, Bill Belichick, Jim Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh's got less legs to this than Belichick does, because I think this really does feel like a Belichick-esque type job. You already have a really good quarterback. You have all the pieces. You just need the coach. I think Bill is more that than Harbaugh. Harbaugh's got a lot more to deal with. Obviously, you got to get him out of college. All that goes along with that. The thing that I think does somewhat give this legs, obviously not a much, because, Harbaugh didn't play for the Colts. He's in their Ring of Honor and all that. Didn't even get a call last offseason. He did play for the Chargers when they were in San Diego. He coached at USD, University of San Diego, the Toreros, before he went to Stanford. If you really look at his coaching career, outside of Michigan, he spent it all on the West Coast. Obviously, USD, Stanford, 49ers. If he does want to get back in the NFL, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a team back out on the West Coast. And that does fit perfectly with this Chargers team. I don't know if either of these end up happening. Those are the two feelings I have right now. Now, given that, they're going to go with probably Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, and I wouldn't be surprised by that either. Moving on to Saturday, we had 3 games. First one, the Bengals win in overtime against the Vikings. Big comeback in that one. Bengals get a victory, keep their playoff hopes alive while Minnesota's dwindle away. The Colts also keep their playoff hopes alive. They actually move closer to a playoff spot with this win as they beat the Steelers 30-13. Kind of a dominating performance from the Colts start to finish. The Lions, who needed a bounce back win bad after, 2 losses in 3 games. They needed a bad. They came out and they got what they needed. A 42-17 just domination of the Broncos. That is something you need to show on the tape as we get closer to the playoffs, if people want to believe in you. They still have not clinched a playoff spot, given the other results that are all in here. There we go. But next Sunday, they go to Minnesota. They win that game. They clinch the division for the first time since 90. Well, the first time ever they clinched the North. The first time they clinched a division since 1991 when they were in the NFC Central. Obviously, the NFC Central no longer RIP. Died in 2002 with realignment, I believe. Back when the Buccaneers were in that division. What a wild division that was. It was the NFC North and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What a division. But yeah, the Lions can clinch their playoff spot and a home game in the playoffs for the first time since 1991 on Sunday. Moving on to this past Sunday, the Cleveland Browns, resilient, gritty, just hard-nosed football. They grind out a victory, 20-17 over the Bears in a game where the Browns looked done. It looked like that luck had run out. They're going up against the Bears team that they're kind of sneaking. They're kind of sneaking their way in. Fourth quarter Browns, fourth quarter Joe Flacco turns it on. The Browns get a victory. After a Justin Fields throw to the end zone with no time left, that ended up in the hands of a Bears player in the end zone and then fell out. I thought this game was over. I thought it's all done from here. When that ball hit the receiver's hands, I'm like, oh no. And then they dropped out, and I'm like, okay, we're back. Browns walk away with the victory in that one. They, once again, sneak ever closer to the playoffs. A team that has walked their way out of the playoffs, that's the Green Bay Packers. Just two demoralizing losses back-to-back. This time at the hands of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the playoff chances look very dim right now for the Packers. It's going to take a lot for them to get into the playoffs now, and I just don't see it happening now. Buccaneers still control their own destiny because the NFC South is awful. The Houston Texans going up against the Tennessee Titans wearing Houston Oilers uniforms. Houston gets the last laugh in this one as the Texans walk away with a 19-16 overtime victory. If C.J. Stroud was playing in this game, he was out due to concussion. Texans win this game easy. It was mostly because of the injuries that this game went to overtime, which it happens, but the Texans walk away victorious no matter what. Dolphins, once again, beat up on a bad opponent. They shut out the Jets 30-0. Not really much to be said about that one. Just kind of normal Dolphins performance. Tyreek Hill didn't play, resting up for next week. Huge game against the Cowboys. Chiefs traveled to New England to face off against the Patriots. They walked away with the 27-17 victory. They are still... they're starting to pull away in the division once again, given the Broncos lost to the Lions. So their scenarios are coming up quicker and quicker to clinch a spot. I don't even know where to start. Falcons 7, Panthers 9. This game was played in the same monsoon the Cure Bowl was played in. The one win, Panthers get a second win on the season. The Falcons look worse than ever. I don't really know what much else to say about that one. The Saints end the Tommy DeVito dream. He ends up getting injured in the game anyways. But it was the Saints walking away with a 24-6 victory. The LA Rams, they once again keep their playoff hopes alive. Everything's starting to piece together for a potential Matthew Stafford return to Detroit in the wild card round. Woof. Whew. That would be something, wouldn't it? They get a 28-20 victory over the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are poorly coached right now. I 100% believe Ron Rivera is done at the end of the season. And if he isn't, you got to really question the new ownership because that's kind of what's holding this team back a little. Obviously, they don't have a lot of pieces right now, but there are games they should have won this year that they didn't because of poor coaching. 49ers dominate the Cardinals 45-29. The 49ers are just a freight train going straight to the NFC title. And then from there, who knows? How about them Cowboys? They go on the road to Buffalo. they absolutely stink up the place. They lose 31-10. Buffalo walks away with a win they desperately needed if they wanted to keep those playoff hopes alive. Because if they lost that game, there was no hope with how the AFC is going. Now, there's still a chance they win the division. I just can't help but laugh about the Cowboys because, oh boy, this may be a tumultuous run to the finish for the Cowboys. We'll obviously see what happens, but I don't know. Yeah, they're doing what they usually do in December and January. It's starting to become choking time for them because, 32 years since their last Super Bowl? The Ravens, a domination of the Jaguars, 23-7. They take firm control of that first seed and that one bye in the AFC. A big game next week, Monday night, Christmas night, against the 49ers. So I am very excited for that one. That should be pure entertainment as you sit in front of your fire, drinking your beverage of choice as Christmas winds down and the moon rises, an almost full moon. And you're just watching one of the best games the NFL probably could have provided you on this Christmas day. Can't wait. And finally, Monday Night Football. It was the Eagles to lose, and they did. Drew Lock, legacy drive, 96 yards down the field to pass to Jackson Smith and Jigba, 17 yards, something like that. 30 seconds left. Gives the Seahawks the victory in this one. Big news coming out of this game, actually pregame, it happened on Sunday. Jay Glazer reported that the defensive coordinator for the Eagles has been moved back to a staffing position, that it would be Matt Patricia, former Lions coach, former Patriots defensive coordinator, that would be calling the plays, which automatically led all of the Lions fan base to say, it's been fun, Eagles. You're going to lose this game. And yeah, they basically lost this game because Matt Patricia's defense choked at the end. You can't give up a 96-yard drive to Drew Lock. It's just straight facts. You can't do that. I don't make the rules. You just can't do that. A gutsy performance from the Seahawks to keep their playoff hopes just barely alive. So given that, that is going to wrap up this recap episode of Pigskin Perspectives. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you stumbled across it, hit like, hit subscribe, tell anybody you know about it. We'll be back on Thursday to preview third to last week of the NFL regular season, a Christmas week. I think we got games spread all over the place again. Bowl games galore, of course. Can't wait to do that. So we will see you next time for another episode of Pigskin Perspectives.